Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to this Monday edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. I'm Spencer Israel, here with Joel Elconin and Dennis, a little under the weather today, so the show goes on without Dennis, but on the show today we're going to be joined by Tommy Lackey, as we are every Monday. He is the managing partner and portfolio manager at Relativity Capital Advisors. But first, got to get to the movers of the day. A lot of M&A news this morning, at least 4 or 5 M&A headlines to discuss. Also, we're going to recap the move in over the weekend after the French election. Maybe we'll talk about Warren Buffett and some of his comments over the weekend. Disaster stock of the day is Horizon Pharmaceuticals. They cut their guidance, and we have a couple of earnings to discuss, and maybe we'll have time for Barron's as well. We'll also get to your questions in the chat. So, Joel, before we get to the S&Ps, first I want to just say congratulations. You nailed it on Friday with your Kentucky Derby pick. You got Always Dreaming was the winner. How'd you know?
Just a little bit of handicapping, good old-fashioned handicapping. Did not like that he went off the favorite, so, that takes a little wind out of my sails. But I must tell everybody that Spencer ruined it for me. To be honest, my audio-visual director, Dana, hooked me up with an NBC app at Emily's graduation. As Emily was coming onto the stage, graduated at Michigan State, I was watching the race, and with about a 16th of a mile to go, up in my message pops up from WhatsApp, Joel nailed it. And,
yes, that was me.
And my daughter turned to me and goes, "Well, Dad, I guess you won the Derby." So I didn't scream or yell at the auditorium or anything, but it's always nice to pick a winner. I want to thank the Brentster for helping me do that video on Friday. So it is documented that I did call the winner of the Derby.
Documented.
It is documented in Emily's graduation from Michigan State. That was a great thrill, too. But there was another winner over in France.
There was. Emmanuel Macron is the winner over Marine Le Pen. Joel, how did the markets react?
Immediately got a pop, a higher open, over 2,400. If Dennis would hear, he'd tell me that I owe him another lunch. We got to 0375. That took out the all-time high, but then you saw a little bit of profit taking. Came down to 92 and a quarter, so a nice 10-point range overnight. We'll be keeping an eye on that all-time closing high from Friday at 97.75. Crude initially got a pop off this, went up to 46.98, but now we're back near the low of the day, which is 45.99. Somehow we got down to 43.76 on Friday. That looks safe for now. Gold and silver getting a little pop off this news too, but considering gold had nearly an $80 slide, still closer to $1,200 and $1,300. Silver up a dime. It's $16.37.5. So no Dennis today, Spencer. You got the tough job of working with me for the next 57 minutes. Where would you like to start?
I guess we should just start with Warren Buffett and his comments over the weekend there at the Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholders meeting. He didn't say a whole lot of interest. A couple of things jumping out to me, though. First one being he increased his Apple stake at the end of the year by 42.1 million shares. He now owns a little over 1% of all outstanding shares in Apple.
All right, first I just want to talk, Dennis and I got in that little argument on Friday about IBM, and I think we were both trying to say the same thing, that it was a little bit overdone with the selling. So pre-market low was 52.38. I think it made a low at 53 even and had a nice rally. So that news was a little bit overdone. Folks, just keep in mind that he still, has 2/3 of his stake. So just a little asset relocation. Apple, the only thing I'm going to say about Apple is I noticed during earnings day that thing just wouldn't go down. I mean, that wasn't a great report. They hit it, but it just seemed like people were like, hey, I'm there. Buy me. I don't know. It was Warren did his buy-in earlier, and then I saw the SPOOs caught a bid late in the day. So did Apple. New all-time high. Did we get to that magic 150 yet here? I see us trading up a dime at 149.06. Friday's high, not quite there. But, boy, there's a magnet if you want to look for the 150 number. Really can't give you any levels because we've never been up here before.
Some other comments there from Buffett. We know and he just reiterated he's the largest shareholder in all four of the major airlines. So with, of course, them United being in the news of late, he does not see. He admitted, how they handled it was wrong, but he's still, super bullish, going all in on the airliners here. So maybe are we seeing any reaction in those this morning?
All in. United shrugged this off. Got down. You can see some of the lows that it had during the crisis. I think he's did they say he's the top shareholder in 4 different airlines? Is that what I read?
Yep.
Wow. All right. Let's just take a look at the pre-market action here. 75.85 in UAL. Let's see where it went off the board on Friday. 75.30. It's trending up here. Folks, I'll just tell you here, if you're looking at United Airlines here, major tops in the upper 76 handle. I'm looking at monthly highs of 680, 675, 646, 666. So not much until you get up there. All-time high 76.80, but it's just scattered with daily and monthly highs up near that level. And what else is he in? American Airlines?
He's in American. He's in Love. He's in United.
Let's take a look. I think American's a little farther away. Yeah, that's a little farther away from its all-time high, 50.64, trying to fill an earnings gap here, and that would take you into the lower $46 handle. Let's see how it's trading. Just trading kind of on here. But, folks, just remember, I won't say the opposite effect what happened on Friday, but it could very well be, everyone's piling to buy this thing, and he bought it at levels, at the end of last year or early in the quarter. So if you think you're replicating his prices, you're not.
Yeah, and that was really the only notable things he said. He's obviously comments on Wells Fargo, and he said he likes the wind and solar stocks and didn't mention any particular names, so maybe something to keep in mind there. I want to get to, though, the disaster stock of the day, and that's HZNP. Horizon Pharmaceuticals came out this morning and they cut their guidance. So they had earnings. Q1 EPS 21 cents versus 23 cents. Sales of 220.9 million versus 247.9 was the estimate. So they missed on the sales number. They missed on the EPS. But the really big doozy here is cutting their fiscal year guidance. They see sales between 1 billion and 1.04 billion. It was 1.24 to 1.29 billion. So they're cutting their sales guidance by about $250 million over the course of the year.
All right, and are they more of a generator of drugs, a distributor? I don't know that company that well because a lot of it is with drugs in the pipeline. So this is bad earnings. They are cutting guidance. It's horrible news for the company. But, one good trial if they're in that.
No, they develop drugs like anyone else.
So you're hitting it on earnings. Your pre-market low is 1060, but you got 2 green candles after that up at 1134. Hasn't been near the $10 level since late in 2014. You had a 1015 low. So anything in the 10 handle, to me, I think they'll scoop up those offers. Looks like we're on the rise right now.
And I'm not super familiar with the drugs they have in the pipeline. They also did say they're acquiring River Vision for $145 million in cash this morning. But I'm not super familiar with what Horizon has in their pipeline. But again, the disaster stock of the day, cutting guidance for the year. Cutting guidance for the quarter would be bad. Cutting guidance for the year, probably worse. So there you go, HZNP. Let's get to some earnings, Joel. We have some earnings to discuss this morning. Let's start with Mallinckrodt. MNK reporting this morning Q1 EPS of $1.68 versus $1.63. Sales $810.9 million versus a $781 million estimate. So they beat the sales and they beat the EPS for Q1. Did Mallinckrodt.
All right, we have it trading up, though, on not much volume, so I'm not going to give much credence to that 49.15 print here. Immediately when I bring up the dailies here, man, this thing looks like it's waking up here. You had a double top at the 47.20 area. You also topped out there in March, so not interested in chasing here, but if I can get this thing anywhere near 47 to 20, old resistance, could be new support in this thing. On the upside, a couple big red candles took us down through 49 and 48. So be careful if you go back up to that handle. I don't see any good resistance in the 48 handle. 48 even, you had a high, and then the previous day's high on that was 49.28.
Another one that's reporting this morning, Tyson Foods, our favorite chicken stock, Q1 EPS of $1.01 versus $1.02 estimate. Sales of $9.08 billion versus $9.05, so just over the sales and just under the EPS. They do see their fiscal year EPS at $4.90 to $5.05. It's right in line with the estimate, which was $5.02. So in line guidance, an okay Q1.
What is your second favorite chicken stock?
I don't know.
Well, you said Tyson was your favorite.
I know.
I think the only other one out there is Pilgrim's Pride.
Is there another chicken stock?
I think so. I think it's Pilgrim's Pride.
Yeah.
They hit it, but we've come right back. You got under $62. Your pre-market low comes in at $61.65. We've got to bounce. Just keep an eye anywhere under 61.50. Could be a buy zone. 61.50, that was your low on April 4th, and then you see three other lows just under that. So for right now, couple wicks underneath 61.50. You have to look at that as support. Coming back on the upside, in order to fill the gap from yesterday's range, you need to get up to 63.06.
Okay. Joey F in the chat, and this is what we got to go to now. The M&A action this morning is insane. Straight Path Communications, STRP, just one of the stocks that are moving this morning on some M&A headlines. So Straight Path, we have a report that they've received a $184 per share bid for for a multinational telecom company superior to AT&T's. Reuters reporting that Verizon is the unnamed bidder for STRP. $184 a share. Where's it at right now?
$207.50.
And what were you saying last? Was it
I
last
was
week?
joking. Can you roll the tape? Maybe we can Chris find
yeah.
it. I said Dennis and I would buy it for $200, and but we didn't have. I think the market cap was $1 billion, and we didn't each have $500 million on tap. I don't know what to say about this. I mean, if you're holding on as a shareholder, congratulations. I mean, if you haven't sold out any of your position, maybe now over 200, it's more than doubled. Seems to be a pricing war. I wish I had more details on what this company did, but man, major bidding war. And I mean, is it even worth it now if they pay this much over premium? But definitely the biggest premium taken over the year. Congratulations, shareholders. This issue, I just don't know what to say. I mean, I was thinking when it had that first pop up to 95 that you may want to get out, and now it's doubled. So, amazing move of the year in Straight Path Communications.
Let's go back about a month now to the beginning of this saga. So we have AT&T and Verizon really going head-to-head for and Dish going head-to-head for a Straight Path here. So we had the numbers at the end of April. So AT&T had bid 95.63, okay? Verizon responds with 104.64, okay? And then today we get, what do we get? 184. So, whew.
Keep a premium into it, though. I mean, I don't know how I reacted on the first day there, but just
going April 10th was the day when all this news started. So maybe check back and see what happened April 10th. April 25th was the day they came out and said that the $104 offer was superior to AT&T's 95.
April 10th, I mean, there was still a little discount in the deal. The high of the day that day was 92, and 91.64 was the close. So you didn't start getting, the big jump overnight until the 17th, and then, the rest of it's history. So we'll see who ends up with the winner. It's valuable company doubling here since April 10th over the last month.
Crazy. Some other M&A news going on this morning here. We have Charter and Comcast, another saga that doesn't seem to end. Charter actually reported last week, but I think I saw that Charter and Comcast had come to an agreement. I'm trying to find the exact headline now, but I think I read that this morning.
Well, the deal must not be too good for Charter here. I don't know if that's trading down at $300, so they do not like this deal for Charter at all. Just trading at 300 flat, and there's no bounce here. I don't even know what to tell you. This stock had an amazing run up. I'll just give you one monthly low here since it seems to be in a free fall. Man, oh man, I can't give you 282.54. That was a low back in earlier this year. That's the low for the year. Offered there, I couldn't tell you what to do. And I'll tell you right now, if I was short, I'd maybe throw a 290 bet out there and see if someone hit me. But 284.84, that's the low for the year.
Some more M&A, and again, this story, will it ever end? Kate and Coach, we have a headline there that Kate Spade and Coach will buy Kate Spade for $2.4 billion. $18.50 is the share price in cash.
And they had that up to $18.89, now just settling at $18.41, so only 9 cents of premium left in this one.
Wasn't this one mostly priced in at this point?
Yeah, it was priced in, and then it got to $24, and they got a little bit greedy, and then we came back down. Did quite get back to that area where it started out to 14 and change, so this deal, 18.5, you could see, they were a little greedy up here, but the deal's getting done. I just don't see another retailer coming in here scooping up Kate Spade, so I think the ARBs are figuring that as well as it's trading here at $18.50, just below $18.50.
What about SBGI, Sinclair Broadcast Group, closing in on a deal to acquire Tribune Media Company? TRCO is the acquiree. For close to $4 billion, or about $44 per share for TRCO. If you've been following the story, 21st Century Fox was said to be, in the mix with Blackstone, but it looks like Sinclair is the winner here for TRCO, $44 a share.
44, a little bit of a discount. This one was rumored last week, and it hit that $40 level, and it was major resistance. But the fact that it just hung up there, I think I wrote about it on Wednesday and Thursday, and really didn't give it back, kind of made me thought a deal. I think the Financial Times broke this last weekend, so a little bit of premium. You said $44, so a little uncertainty here. Is it's trading at the $42 level.
One more to note. How about Belden Inc., BDC, announcing on Friday that they're rescinding their proposal to acquire DGII, that's Digit International. They reported earnings DGII did on the 4th. Horrible quarter. Belden coming in and saying, we're going to not buy you anymore for $13.82 per share.
All right. Well, let's just look at the area of origin when it came from. That was at the $9 area when you got the rumors of the deal. Looks like things started to fall apart a little bit on Friday as this thing lost momentum. In the pre-market, it's continuing 10.20. Look for that $9 area. And who is the company that called off the deal? BDC?
BDC, correct.
BDC. I haven't typed that symbol in here. Let's see what it's doing. Went off the board on Friday. I see it's trading 74.80 in the pre-market. Not much. I'll see what happens at 76 if this rally can continue. Looks like you have a triple top there. Back from earlier in the year.
What are you seeing this morning, Joel, in LVS? They were moving a little bit on Friday. They had a pretty notable options trade. Also, some volatility due to a possibly due to an article in the South China Morning Post about concerns over money laundering. But I'm wondering if you're seeing anything this morning.
You got to tick down in the lower upper 57 handle, 57.75. I know this didn't quite react to earnings like Wynn Resorts did. Not sure how this news is going to affect it, but if you go into super rally mode, just under $60, you've had someone selling near that level over the last 6-7 sessions. I'll give you the range of those highs. The range of those highs has been from 59.36 all the way up to 59.95. So if you do go into rally mode, look for resistance in the upper 59 handle. Coming back on the downside, you don't want to see, are we trading below yesterday's low? We are at 57.55. That Friday's low, 57.89. Man, 56.85 was low on April 20th. If you're looking for some support, you had two lows in that $57 area back on April 20th and 21st.
You know, we haven't really covered in a few weeks now is Barron's. I feel like we used to talk Barron's a lot, and we don't really do it anymore. So I'd like to get that.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Novartis. A pretty bullish headline story here from Barron's on NVS. They have their right prescription for profits. Novartis, if you've been following this one, you know it's been a little bit out of favor, but Barron's likes it due to their strong psoriasis pipeline, where they like their development of a drug for psoriasis. This is a quote from the article: "The likely upswing in profitability isn't reflected in the Swiss drug giant's shares, which are up 5% in the past year to $78 and down from a peak in 2015 of $106. So, but they do like Novartis."
Trying to bust out here. Last four sessions have been capped right at the $78 level. Now we're trading up on the pre-market. Really light volume. But before I think this is another continuation move off the Barron's article, needs to hold 78. Now, if in fact it can hold that $78 level, don't see a lot of resistance until 79.29, but this is just up on light volume. And the only thing that scares me is that this thing was at 72.67 low on April 19th. You've added $7-8 straight up, a lot of gaps fill underneath there. 78 even, that's the level of the day in NVS.
Novartis also has a pipeline that includes drugs for multiple sclerosis, sickle cell anemia, so they've got leukemia, so they've got a pretty broad pipeline. Barron's notes that they also offer a 3% dividend and the prospect of a prolonged period of earnings growth. So not saying you should go out and jump and run in right now, but if you're looking at the issue, maybe take a look at that Barron's article from over the weekend. Another one they have is Amazon. Amazon's profits are soaring. Why that could be bad for the stock. This one, I'm not even sure what you can really say at this point about Amazon. I mean, what can you say that hasn't been said about Amazon?
How can you say anything bad about Amazon? I mean, at least at this point, you did make that all-time high. I think that was a day or two after earnings at $954.40. Been struggling, though, to get back into that 950 handle. 950.10 was the high following that day, and then two highs, 945, 946. So it looks like after earnings here, you have a step-down seller trying to wiggle out of stock here. So SPOO's down 3 1/4. I don't know. It just seems like this thing is trying to put in a little bit of a top. Really no major downside action here until you take out the low from Friday, and that's way down at 930.30.
Barron's also sees the stock at $1,000 at some point in the summer. And 1,100 within the year, so they're the latest in a continuing series, ever-growing series of people who do.
I ordered something from Amazon.
What did you order?
Actually, Lisa had me order some dog food.
That's what you ordered.
Yes.
Okay. I have an Amazon gift card. It's been sitting unused for about a year, so I'll get there eventually.
I think they expire.
Oh.
No.
I was going to say, no, they don't. One more from Barron's this weekend. Tesla could lose the love. Ford and GM might gain it. Man, we've covered this one ad nauseum. This Tesla, Ford, GM valuation story. Tesla, of course, the most valuable car company, if you want to call it a car company. If not, it's more of a tech company. Depends how you view it. But Barron's given Tesla a nice little write-up this morning, or over the weekend, I should say, with regards to valuation in Ford and GM. So let's take a look at Tesla.
I mean, you hit that all-time high, and then you backed off here under 300. That was a key level. But now you're trading up here in the pre-market, trading at 310.60. I'll just tell you a bit. This is just bases the 15-minute chart. Someone's stepping out here at 312. That's been the high here since 6:30 this morning. Going back, I think there was a day of earnings. You had a high at 321.63, but 321.53. All-time high, double top up there, 327.66. All-time closing high, 322.83. But right now, 312 seems to be a little bit of a roadblock based on the pre-market trading.
Someone mentioned in the chat, Costco, Dr. J, are they ex-dividend today? I believe they are, which is the reason for the downward movement today.
Right, $7, right?
Yup, $7 dividend here from Costco. They are going X today, so don't freak out.
Yeah, I mean this one, they play it, they ran it up, they added that more than the $7, which to me seems a little bit ridiculous. You didn't end up running up. Your 2-day high in that was 176.18. Now, when this whole $7 dividend thing started, you had to close right at let's call it 166. So put that up, the true value, really this thing shouldn't have gotten much over 173 if you're adding the $7 in there. So I'd look at that. I'd look at the $7, 173 level, currently trading at 174.29.
All right, 8:26 now. We'll get Tommy in about 10 minutes here. I want to talk about Neurotrope and TRP. This one, we had Adam Feuerstein from the Street on the show last Monday, a week from today, when they reported their drug trial results, and it was really impressive the way they spun it. Adam Feuerstein came on the show and just crushed them. Said the study failed. There was never a lot of hope. Granted, admitting that what this company does is producing or try to produce a drug for Alzheimer's, and they work with a set of patients that not many companies are willing to work with. So there was never. It was always a high risk, high reward study that they missed big on, and it had some very interesting action earlier in the week, and then this story there on Wednesday, and then a little bit on Thursday, how some paid promotional posts on Seeking Alpha that may or may not have traced back to the company. Adam F. was all over this one again. NTRP is moving this morning a little, are they? A little bit?
You got a print here at 984, but that's on a measly 10 shares.
Okay, so not.
No, it's not moving, but it's an interesting chart nevertheless. You always like to mark these news events in your head. On the day, that was last Monday, you had a high at $10. Got up a little over 10 here, 10.59. That was on May 3rd. That was the day after. 8.99 close. Low of the move is 8. Ooh, did that get down 697? Yeah, that got down to 697. On the recovery, $10 to me just looks like a nut level. Gets back above 10, got a big gap to fill just under 16. Trading up on light volume.
All right, let's talk about Newell Brands, NWL. They are making a lot of trash cans, Joel, and a lot of storage bins. Q1 EPS 34 cents versus 29 cents. Sales of 3.3 versus 3.2 billion dollars. They're increasing their dividend from 19 cents to 23 cents.
55.15. No way.
Well, when I get to the guidance, you'll see.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. They see for the fiscal year EPS at $3 to $3.20. 3.05 was the estimate. So, in line EPS guidance for the year. Sales for the year 14.5 to 14.7 billion. Pretty much in line with the estimate there, but a great quarter and increasing that dividend by 5 cents, Joel.
I mean, a good quarter, a great quarter. I mean, that print up at 55.15. I don't know how much stock actually traded there, but in reality, we're trading at 51.14. Boy, we had this is a breakout here, I guess, above $49. You had an old double top there. Another example, just buying the dogs here. That's all I can say. I mean, could have told you it was a dog to buy, but where to sell it, that's anyone's guess here. Full breakout mode, $50. I know we're still trading above that. Be a psychological level. You haven't seen 55. 55.45 was your high back in August. I just got to think that high of the day is safe. Coming back on the downside, like I said, there was a couple old highs at just over 49. They could provide support, but this could be a one wild child today.
There's a couple of other earnings to discuss. Well, that report today, mostly pretty small though. If there's any ones you want us to hit on, just mention it in the chat. I want to hit SYY, probably the last earnings stock we'll discuss today. Cisco reports Q3 adjusted EPS 51 cents is in line with the estimate. Sales of 13.5 versus 13.1 billion dollars. So a good sales number for the Q3. For Cisco, SYY, do they have guidance? They did not come out with guidance, but that's it for SYY.
Street leading the right way in this one, went to 55 from 53 to 55.31. Area of interest to me here is just above $56. You had a high right at 56. This was back in January. You have a couple other highs just above that, a little less than $1 away. So see what happens. At 56 up to 56, looks like 56.06. There was another high in that area as well.
Move on to some upgrades and downgrades. Not a whole lot today. The biggest one I'm seeing is Micron catching a downgrade from Goldman Sachs today. Never a good thing. From buy to neutral on MU.
Well, it's not like, initiating it a sell like you did with AMD. So I would be a little bit leery on this one. I mean, of trying to go out there and fade Goldman Sachs, especially what they did to AMD. Got a little overdone to 27.25, maybe not. And now you're getting a little rebound to the 27.50 area. This hit the high on earnings day. I can remember that. Just over 28, even if they could rally this off the Goldman news. I see 5-6 highs in the last 5-6 sessions, just from like 28 to 28.20. As far as the downside goes, I will get real worried about this stock until it takes out the triple bottom at the 26.40 area. That also filled the gap from earnings, and looks like, let's see, at a 3-point move, $1.50, that took 50%, took you back to 28. So I don't know. Goldman's not killing it yet, but I think under 26.50 you could see some more downside.
Do you want to also look at Netshoes, NETS? Quiet period ended this morning, so we have J.P. Morgan, Jefferies, and Goldman Sachs all initiating with a buy, or in J.P. Morgan's case, an overweight. Same thing. So the street, at least those three firms, leaning positive on NETS.
Netshoes? What do they make? They make shoes when you're surfing the internet, or what? I'd really like to know what
that was. Not a good joke.
That was not a good joke.
No.
All right. This stock's been steadily moving up. I believe it's a pretty new issue. Everyone hopping on the bandwagon here. Can't give you a lot of information. Just the daily's all-time high is 17.29. This is a daily chart, so it's showing 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7. 8 of 9 up days in a row. Nice steady uptrend. Let's see. I guess $16 could be a potential stopping level. 17.29 represents the all-time high.
No real other ratings to discuss. URI upgrading an Evercore this morning is the only one that jumps out to me. I'm seeing someone in the chat talking about JCPenney. What's going on here with JCPenney, Joel?
Well, we have earnings coming up, right?
Later this week.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the weekly earnings slate after Tommy, but let's start with JCPenney right now.
I mean, a struggling retailer here at the low of the move, 532. I mean, I guess the only thing, if you're going with the dogs are barking category, this is
you're all over it. You're all over it.
It's as big a candidate as you got. Just major lows here. Don't know if that's just shorts bringing it in, ahead of the report. Or I don't know how many institutions are accumulating this in the lower $5 handle, but man, oh man, this thing has really 2-for-1 stock split since late December when it got over $10. Just a little bit of a rounding bottom if you want to throw in a little head and shoulders there. A lot of reasons to buy it. There's no way I'd be shorting it down here ahead of the report. Low of the move's been 532.
I'm going to be in New York later in the week, and I think I'm going to meet up with Ryan Craver. So I'm going to try to. I'm going to get the inside scoop from Ryan on all these retail stocks, because he knows what he's talking about. 8:34 now. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to grab our only guest of the day, Tommy Lackey, managing partner and portfolio manager at Relativity Capital Advisors, sharing with us his nitrous scans, his meltdown filters. Really always comes to the show prepared with some really good ideas. So we'll be right back with Mr. Lackey. And welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. As I mentioned before the break, we're on the line now with Tommy Lackey, Managing Partner and PM at Relativity Capital Advisors. Tommy, you were saying you had a cold weekend down there in Georgia? How cold?
Yes, overnight it actually got down to the 40s, but it's been in the 50s, so yes, that's cold for us.
That's cold
at this point in the year.
That would be downright balmy up here in Michigan right now. It is cold. Let's get to the nitrous scans. A lot of stocks on your charts this morning, and you threw the link to your stocks there in the chat, so we appreciate that. Let's start at the top of the list. STKL. What do you see there?
Yeah, this is a small name. I mean, it basically has been moving sideways for about 3 months right here, 3 to 4 months or even longer. But if you look at it, pull back on a weekly chart, this level right here at the 7 area is a really big level, 7 to 750. So if it can get up over this area, and what I wrote there was that I like, and we've talked about this before, where you get these small internal breakouts right before you hit a larger level. It's almost like they're getting a running start. And so I think it gives it a better chance to go ahead and get through that next level. So I think this is a good one to watch here on this small breakout even over Friday's high. It looks like it continues out of that flag. But then you have 760 is really where the big level comes in.
ELS, Equity Lifestyle, a residential REIT. What's happening here?
Yeah, I thought this was interesting because REITs haven't exactly been the best performers recently. And you've got one here on its highs and getting ready to break to all-time highs. It's had a nice about 3-week sideways move at these highs, and they just couldn't sell it off. They tried Thursday, and it came back with a very strong candle. Friday was more of a doji, so you want to kind of watch what it does. But if it continues to move higher from here, you've got a pretty long runway there after this breakout.
One of my favorite tickers, although I have no idea what they do, X-Ray, out of a huge weekly base on good volume. What else are you seeing there in X-Ray?
X-ray is dental supplies, which of course that's a big thing these days. So, it's breaking out. It actually broke out last week, and so it's one you want to make sure that you don't chase too hard. But I would definitely keep an eye on it because the weekly base on this one goes out well over a year, almost a year and a half now. So this move could be, not necessarily your shortest term trader, but if you're someone who wants to get into from an investment standpoint, it looks like it's actually heading into a new leg.
What about City Trends, CTRN?
This is a retailer that basically I don't follow much, but it just came up on the scan, and it looks like it has a small W pattern it's coming out of right here, which feeds into a larger weekly W pattern up in the 22 area. And if you can get through that, you really got some moves back towards the high about 28. So this is when you kind of have incremental stops out. Once it gets above this level, you can go in up to about 22 resistance. Might take a bit to get through there, but once it goes through there, you're probably heading up towards those highs.
All right.
But that 22, 23 level is pretty big.
Let's get to some stocks I've actually heard of, like Target, who reports later this week. A lot of crazy option trading going on there last Wednesday in TGT. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing, is this was coming off the bottom. You had a good bit of trading last Wednesday while it was in that small consolidation. It's popping out of it. So basically you've got some people who are looking at it from a stance of more positive view because most of the options trading in there was on the bullish side. And after a good, strong sell-off, and it's still a big brand, and you got a huge gap right above. And, gaps like to close. And so unless they're just falling off the table, I think it's one that could potentially start heading up into that gap.
Broadcom, AVGO. This one seems to be I feel like it's always in the news for M&A chatter, and maybe I'm just mixing it up with the rest of the industry. But what do you see in AVGO?
Well, it's the best of breed in the industry, and so that's why you're hearing about it a lot. It's because, yes, it's M&A chatter, but a lot of it is because it's really focusing on some of the right areas. And so it's working hard there. Its charts look great. You've got a weekly trend that's strong. You had a little flag that came down, and we're breaking out of it now and getting ready to take it into the highs. So there's really nothing on this chart right here that looks too ominous. It all looks pretty well set up.
Regeneron, REGN, they reported some data this morning for a treatment for kidney cancer. I'm not seeing any trading action, but what do you see in Regeneron?
Well, I think Regeneron, obviously there was some news earlier last week and then earnings that came out, and you got some big moves off of that. However, this is another one that going into and looking at the bigger options, notable options trades from Options Hawk's database is a really strong interest, I guess you should say, in this one on the upside over the last, let me look again, since late April. And there's just been a lot of bullish plays both on the put and the call side since late April.
VMC, that is Vulcan, right? They report earnings on Wednesday before the bell. We're looking at 22 cents and $745 million and a half dollars there for Vulcan for VMC's Q1. What do you see this morning?
Yeah, perfect example, and thanks for saying that. I don't go through and check for earnings on all of these when I'm putting them together. I do that before I make any decisions on them. But in looking at this one, yes. I mean, with earnings Wednesday, it depends on what kind of trader you are and how you want to position, or wait until after and get a reaction. But this one looks like it's come out. It had a good gap up early last week, and then it flagged sideways. So, it's a matter of here just playing the pattern and then deciding if you're going to wait till after earnings or not, or even try to get in and out before earnings, which many people do.
And then second to last one we'll get to is MYGN. Again, I'm not sure what these guys do. This is what is this company? MYGN.
It's a pharma company.
Myriad Genetics. Okay. And what's going on here?
And they had some news out last week that gapped them up. They moved sideways for a couple days. So again, this one could certainly come back down and fill some more, but I think it's worth keeping on the radar because it looks like it's reversing a larger downside move if it can hold over the 20 area.
First Solar, this is the last one on the nitrous gains. First Solar, Tommy, I hope you were listening to our show on Thursday. We had Gordon Johnson from Axiom Capital discuss his fundamental thesis on Gordon Johnson, so it's good now that we get you on here to give us a bit of a technical breakdown. But Gordon Johnson basically outlining that they have this petition that would more or less be very, very... It would be terrible for First Solar if this Suniva petition goes through. It's a petition that would mess with the trading rules with regards to solar panels or the crystals really in solar panels, and so he really sees the business as being still fundamentally flawed. What do you see this morning in FSLR?
Well, I did not hear that last week, but that is interesting. And again, it's amazing how many there are these outside exogenous factors that control these businesses and energies, like in alternative energies and alternative type things that are still working to get their footing. So yeah, that certainly could happen, but this one does look like it had a failed breakdown that it's trying to reverse. It's come back up into a congestion area, and it's just got to work its way out of it. Now, it came straight up into the falling 200 SMA. But it's now got most of its shorter-term moving averages are now turned up and rising below it and clustering between 30 and 3150. So it's basically that would be what I'd look at. It's probably 30 to 3150, maybe 3050 to 3150 would be your what you're trading against here, or maybe even a gap close if you want to give it a little more room. So it's going to be volatile if there's news like that out there. But it looks like it's trying to turn. Its on-balance volume off the bottom has been very strong over the last month, so keep that in mind.
We're on the line with Tommy Lackey, managing partner and portfolio manager at Relativity Capital Advisors. Tommy, take it to the general market here. Now, everyone's happy with the French election. They paid up over the last weekend for it. And now you got the pop off the open, but you got a little bit of a fade going, 10 handles off that high. So just what are you looking for? You look at us going right back up to that 2,400 here. Is it more of a sell the news scenario?
Well, it could certainly be more of a sell the news scenario because it looked like people did kind of buy into Friday, getting comfortable with how things might come out if that's what they were focused on. However, again, I think it's just markets are going to be markets here. I don't think it was as big a deal. I mean, heck, I can't remember France mattering this much in my entire lifetime as it seemed to have had in the last week. I mean, when has France really mattered that much? And so I think that's kind of what we're back to. Election's over. Everybody's okay. Doesn't matter that much. Let's keep moving. So, the fact that we consolidate up here a little bit is fine. But overall, the charts look good. The markets look good. And IWM put in a good reversal on Friday, which was our weakest link. So we just got to wait and see if it can hold that reversal or if it gives it all back here early this week.
All right, let's go to my favorite filter, the meltdown filter. Not much in there. Let's start with EGHT. Got some lower price in here stocks to take a look at. What are you seeing in EGHT?
Yeah, this is one of the cloud-based PBS phone system type things, to get rid of AT&T and places like that. And pretty much it looks like it's trying to put in a larger top, but it's right back down at some good support here around the 13 area. And so we're on that shelf and just kind of waiting to see how it acts. Now, if you look at its daily chart, it does look like its on-balance volume has been dropping for a couple of months, maybe a few months now. And after the big drop Monday, it looks like it basically just is forming a bear flag up to maybe the 8 EMA around 1356-ish. But again, this is one you kind of see how it plays off this ledge.
Coming in from Rob Hood in the chat, KERX thought, can they finally clear that major resistance? KERX.
Wow, it's working on it. I mean, this is one to where it got into the gap and then it kind of fell back. And so now you're back up above. Friday's candle was good on very strong volume. Thursday's candle was good on strong volume. They fought it back up after it tried to sell off some. So, yeah, it looks like it's coming out of the smaller pattern. And, again, it could be that same, especially with these low-price guys, that same effect that we talked about. I talked about a little earlier, which is you get an internal breakout that kind of sends you, gets you the momentum you need to get through the larger areas.
How about some jam? SJM, Smuckers here, food stocks, out of favor. Why should you own food stocks when you can own these high beta stocks? Just hanging out near the lows of the move. I guess on this one, you know where you're out if it breaks out 124 here. It looks like it needs to clear 128. Any thoughts on JM Smucker?
Well, I think that's exactly it, except for I don't know that, for me, if you're talking about something this low, you got to give it a little more room than that. So I would probably go back with the low from end of last year, which I think was 122.05. We're so close to that, I would give it that kind of room because volatility right here in this area is to be expected. If you don't want to give it that much room, then you've got to at least wait till it gets over about 127.50.
DC1 in the chat wants your thoughts on a couple of issues. The first one being AMC. I thought I saw something favorable in Barron's on the weekend on that, but don't quote me on it. AMC, been to the movies lately, Tommy?
I have not. I am not a go to the movies guy. I have a hard time staying awake in movies. They don't seem to be that interesting anymore.
Me too, Tommy. I fall asleep all the time. Me too.
I'm terrible at it. But yeah, this one looks like it's basically coming down and hitting that ledge. It tried to fight off those lows a few months ago back in March, and then it couldn't really get anywhere. It couldn't get up and close the gap, which is a bad sign. And so now you got a lot of volume up here above this area, right around 31. And so getting back through 31 would be trouble. I think going through 29 is probably going to be easier on the downside.
And a big oil stock. I haven't looked to see how CVX has been holding up during this oil slide. Kind of hanging out the lows of the move. I'd say danger under 104 here in CVX. What are you seeing in the large oil company?
See, you don't need me. Yeah, basically, you go under 104, you're in trouble. But if it can get back up, or if oil does start to do a little rebound, you got a pretty sharp line coming down here over about 106.50. So back over 106.50, you can give it a shot. This is one of the better players in the area, the larger players, one of the ones who, I hate to put it in quotes, but almost you put it in quotes, has held up okay, even though it's got a pretty good downtrend going here. But it is, it's one of those areas to where it's already broken its longer uptrend on the weekly basis. So even if you were to trade this, I would look at it as a trade at first and make sure it proves itself to keep it any longer.
All right, you got one on here. You said TD. This one's for Dennis.
He's not here.
No, he's under the weather a little bit today, but Toronto Dominion. Now, this bank here, they're going a little bit of the opposite of our banks here. 46 looks like major support. Nice resistance at 47. I've been hearing just some real clamoring about the overvalued real estate markets here in Canada. Are you basing it on the technicals or overvalued real estate in Canada?
No technicals, basically, because I really hadn't looked at any of that other stuff in Canada. I mean, I have a hard enough time keeping up with everything we got going on here. No reason for me to go up there. Basically, it's a good candle reversal pattern, bullish engulfing that comes out. Nice hammer on the weekly right at that 46 support. So pretty much anything that moves higher over Friday, I mean, pretty much over 47 area, then you're in a trade. You know, something that's under all the moving averages and this far down, you're not looking at a long-term investment at this point. You're looking at a trade. And then, like I talk about, those can turn into longer-term investments if at each milestone you decide, reassess and decide it has improved more.
Might be a good setup here in Seagate Technology. Got hit off the earnings report, matched the low from the prior earnings report. Trying to get off the mat here. You're looking at the $42 level.
Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, this was a look both ways play to where you got to look at that 42 level as a strong area, and then you got to look over these moving averages right around over that, that big candle, gap down candle. If it can get into the gap, it could start to try to climb back up it. Now, again, this versus WDC. WDC is a much better company in the area. So you got to think of that. If it does fail, it could be, that could even be one you trade them against each other.
Yeah, and if you would have done that before the report, give me some advice on this WDC here. I picked it up a while ago just because it was a huge old dividend down there when I picked it up, 6-7%, and now I don't know. I'm getting a little afraid of heights here, Tommy. What are you telling me to do with WDC?
We talked about it back then about buying it, and that's when you got it in the dividend and all that. It and STX were back at the same levels, and it's just continued to outperform it. Its bullish option flow is much better. It continues. It's continued through most of April at levels in the mid-80s to mid-90s as far as the option strikes. So I think this one still has good potential, but I think it's one of those to where, you've got a huge trend here. So for someone like yourself who got in near the lows, you've got to decide how you're going to play it. You would either maybe sell something against it or protect it with options, or just go ahead and book it and look for another good opportunity.
Or just don't look at it. One more.
Well, I mean, if it's in a long-term portfolio, sure.
Yep. One more for you. Then I have one general question for you. Cypress Semiconductor here. Came down, made some lows off 13. Looks like a little trading range between 13, 1350. You looking to play this one both ways here, Tommy, or what you call on Cypress Semiconductor?
You definitely need to watch the downside on this one. And actually, if I did do a both ways play here, what I would do on this one is I'd do a closer dated put and a longer dated call, because I think overall this one's going to lean higher, and most of the options action leans higher as well. And one of the things I put in my notes is even though the chart doesn't look the same as MU did I put early last year, but the middle of last year, the options action is starting to look like MU did to me, where we're starting to get more and more of these big blocks coming in, even into pullbacks.
All right.
So that to me it has some good potential.
One more market-related broad question here, Tommy. I'm not sure if you're a reader of Barron's at all or not, but in the striking price, they talked about this notorious option buyer in the VIX and the low volatilities. They call him 50 Cent because he comes in at all these low price options, and I guess he's just buying it. There's some speculation it's a big hedge fund out of London that basically they're just hedging their portfolio, that they're way long and they're coming in to use these options as some kind of spread if the market goes down, or some kind of hedge. You notice anything in the VIX or any kind of options trading in there? It's notable.
Well, I've seen it. I got to say, Joe that I work with does a lot more work in that area, and he's made some comments about that, and honestly more comments about the effect it's having on the put-to-call ratios. which a lot of people follow. And he talks about these are the exact trades why you can't really follow those ratios too much for overbought, oversold areas. They'll be too dependent on them because these big trades at very, very low deltas can have big skewing effects on those very, very widely followed put to call ratios out there.
And you also don't know what they're doing on the other side, too. I mean, that's
exactly right.
Yeah.
So it's just basically someone taking a bet that's way out of the money, big and way out of the money. And see, the other thing that some people don't realize, though, not that I condone it or suggest it, a lot of times if you're buying these options for 5 or 6 cents, you don't have to have too big of a move for them to get to 10 or 11 cents.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of risk. It may never do it, but if it's far enough out date-wise, there are a lot of times you can go way out of the money and you can make good money. It just, if it goes against you, it just puts you in a real tough position to come back.
Tommy Lackey, managing partner and portfolio manager at Relativity Capital Advisors. Great segment today, Tommy. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, guys. Hope everybody has a terrific week.
All right, 8:56 here, about 4 minutes ago. S&P's down 3 1/4, 94.5. This 92 1/4, I got that as your daily pivot, also your pre-market low. Just kind of hanging up here, so that's going to be the bogey off the opening bell here to see if we can continue. Challenge that all-time closing high at 2397.75. We talked a little bit on the first part about Barron's talking about Tesla and GM and Ford. They're still bullish here. I don't know what to say about these companies. They are in a slowdown cycle, but one thing note here about General Motors, I like this $33 area. It was support at the end of April, early May. Support here back in November. Kind of made, just like it made this resistance up here. So like at 33 in GM for a little bit of a longer term trade, and Ford just trying to build up here at the $11 level. All right, Spencer, anything else you want? Any breaking news? Or anything else you want to
nothing.
cover?
I just wanted to remind our listeners that today is the Irish Zone Conference in New York. Actually, Sinclair is halted news pending. I wonder what that could be. I bet you they were going to announce they're buying Tribune, if I had to guess. But anyway, Irish Zone Conference today in New York City. Lots of big hedge fund managers speaking. Make sure you tune into your Benzinga Pro. We're going to have a person there on the scene reporting headlines. And this, every year, this conference has the power to move stocks. These are people managing a lot of money, and they're going to be presenting some ideas, long and short. So stay tuned to the Pro Feed today for some headlines on the Irish Zone Conference. As far as earnings later after the bell, we have Marriott, Pandora, and Stern Ruger are the ones that I see that are most notable to me. And on tomorrow's show, we have a couple of guests. Nick Shaheen will be joining us, as he does every Tuesday. Also, Sasha Evdokov. I don't know if that name rings a bell. It may, if you're on YouTube a lot. He's got a pretty good YouTube following. He is a trader. He's also a trading coach, a trading mentor. He does a lot of work on being mentally prepared for trading, and making sure that you're in the right frame of mind to trade, and what to do if you're, on a hot streak, what to do if you're on a cold streak, and how to keep your emotions in check when you're in the game, because it can be emotional roller coaster. So Sasha Evdokov tomorrow at 8:15, Nick Shaheen tomorrow at 8:35. That is our show for the day. Hope you enjoyed Tommy. We kept Tommy on for a while today, but he was really good. So hope you enjoyed Tommy. Hope you enjoyed the rest of our discussions. I want to remind you that the Benzinga FinTech Awards are 3 days away in New York City. It's this Thursday, May 11th at Tribeca 360 in New York City. If you're interested in attending, you can go to bzawards.com. You can email premarket@benzinga.com if you would like a discount code on a ticket. If you'll be in the area, I can get you $100 off a ticket for the BZ Awards on Thursday. Kevin O'Leary will be there. The head of Fidelity will be there. The head of TD Ameritrade will be there. A lot of fintech startup CEOs and VCs will be there. So maybe worth your time if you're into that. Again, that's it for us today. I hope everyone had a good morning. Hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll see you folks on Tuesday.
Whether you're a short-term swing trader or a long-term investor, you need to check out Thinkorswim, brought to you by TD Ameritrade. There's a reason why Thinkorswim has been named the #1 trading platform, because it has it all. With Thinkorswim, you can trade stocks, options, futures, forex, and virtually every other type of order. Get notifications on mobile devices and interact with other traders in chat rooms. You can also use technical indicators and see the latest investing and trading education in Think Money magazine. If you want to keep up with the markets, you need Thinkorswim. To experience everything Thinkorswim has to offer, open a TD Ameritrade account today. Thinkorswim, the online trading platform for traders and investors. TD Ameritrade, member SIPC. All investing involves risks.